admittedly, one of the precautions that one must consider. Um, where am I? There I am. Before turning on and recording is that anything you show, this is especially true when you're broadcasting. Broadcasting from, excuse me, computer to internet or broadcasting from computer to computer, as we discussed in one of our other segments recently, 2023. Is that you can capture the whole screen of your computer when you're broadcasting, which is to say sharing, broadcasting screen from one computer to another. Here's an example. My 3D printer is running right now, and because I'm looking at it on screen with a video camera, that is being broadcast to the other computer. So my other computer, serving as the monitor, as we discussed, is now seeing everything you're looking at, including our new text, by the way, for the process of the turn. And just a word of caution, because anything you show on your computer screen while you're broadcasting is going to go to wherever you're broadcasting. Just duh. As a matter of fact, as you can see here, our custom little game table, 4x3, has drawers underneath it that are provided by Sterilite, and they have been screwed into position underneath the table. And by the way, yes, it is an IKEA table, and it is not 4x3, but the surface of the IKEA table has a sheet of 1/4 inch thick MDF board on it, and onto that MDF board we have placed our hexagon grid fabric. So you see the drawer is open there, and the drawer has the O-rings, the dice, which we don't need, right, because you can use your phone. That is, if your phone's not being used as a camera. And that wet erase fine tip, ultra fine tip marker from Stadler, which is hugely important because it's a really good wet erase marker, and it's ultra fine tip, so it's like the thickness of a pencil, and yet it's a wet erase, not dry erase. And then of course you can see our normal dice, our CNC dice, and the D8, which is used for the most part, the system management hits on the mechs. So when I started this segment, I was going to say, and by the way, what is it that we're printing on the 3D printer right now? We are, hopefully it's not lifting off the bed, because that does happen. What's printing right now is the raft. I always print with a raft. Yes, I know it's a waste of plastic, but the truth of the matter is, since I've gotten some of these printers, this one especially, I do not understand how anybody can not print without a raft, because the raft ensures, like 99.9% of the time, that your print is going to be accurate. And without a raft, you don't know, because the object will be printed directly on the platen, and sometimes you'll have all kinds of issues about lifting and not being perfect. The raft pretty much ensures that a perfect print is going to happen, because the object, the raft is printed first as a substrate, and then the object that you're printing is printed on the raft. So regardless what your configuration or parameters are, the presence of the raft, and I say that now, of course, and it won't happen now. So why is it doing what it's doing? It's printing cylindrical shapes for our round table markers. You will notice on the game table shot, actually you can't because it's pretty bright. I could turn down the... I can't really do it. Anyway, there's a round order marker our status marker next to that Warhammer. As a matter of fact, it's taking out the Warhammer's name. You can see it. Well, in the right hand side camera view on the Marauder, you can see the disc is there as well, and that says stopped, which is fine because even though you can't really read it, it looks like a slash, right? It's a slash on the disc, so that's fine. It means it's not moving. And I figured I needed to print those because we needed a indistinguishable, or no, we needed a distinguishable order marker, a status marker, as opposed to any of the other ones we have on the game table that says specifically that the item is stopped. Now, on the other side of that could be fired as well, by the way, because we know we don't need a moved marker, but we do need a fired marker. And right now we're using the O-rings, which is fine. But the O-rings really should be dedicated to damage allocation and recording. They shouldn't be used for anything like status because there's a potential for confusion. Even though they're multicolored, and that's the other issue, by the way. Buying from one vendor, just make sure that when you get the O-rings, you record what the colors are from that vendor. Because I had gotten blue, and then I did another order, and I made a mistake, and it was a different color blue. And so therefore, in my blue bucket of the open drawer you see there, they're all labeled, routed, fired, combat hit or whatever. Those colored O-rings that are inside that pillbox dispenser, some of the blues are different. They're still blue, but they're just a different shade. And I'm anal like that. I don't like different colors like mixed in, different shades of the same color, right? So I kept it. Instead of being consistent and throwing out the ones I don't want to use or that don't fit, I just kept them. So live and learn. This print is going to supposedly take about an hour, and it's already been however many minutes, 10 minutes or something. So what's this for, right? This is the round cylindrical piece that's going to be, as you see the turn indicator. I have a cardboard version of it. I'm printing one. So in this particular case from Thingiverse, this 3D print has two tubes right next to each other. So you imagine that you could have one holding all the markers for the game that you need, because it doesn't need to be that tall. The order markers or status markers, whatever they are, the discs are like, half a millimeter, piece of paper thick, not quite, cardstock thick. And so it's going to hold the turn indicator neatly, and it's going to hold as many order markers as I care to put in there. And then, of course, I can print another. Okay, so it's printing the wall of the actual piece now. And like I said, it doesn't have to be very tall because the discs are thin. And how many of these cylindrical containers do I need? I don't know. Maybe I'll print another set of 2. Because each player could have one of the tubes to hold their status markers in, or there could just be one for the entire game, a set of 2. These are designed right next to each other, and I didn't modify it at all. I just didn't cut it so that in Mesh Mixer I didn't cut the other one off. I just left it as a pair. That'll do. Oh, yes. So, uh, the list, this is a text file in OBS, as opposed to the image file that I had up there before. This is just text, and when you open a text file, you can configure it for white text on black background. So you can see here. Let me move it so you see it's actually no, it's clear. I think you can make a black. You can make it any color you want. Actually, let me see. You won't be able to see this because it's in OBS setup. But is there a background color? Yeah, there actually is. I can make it ooh, like this. Oh, that's the color of the. Okay, I don't want that. Opacity. Sorry, there it is. Well, that didn't work. Oh, 100%. So you can change the gradient there. See? That's actually pretty cool. I like that. I can make it, and the reason I want to do that is so it becomes a completely opaque object. So wherever I move it, it hides whatever's behind it. Okay, so enough playing around. This segment was originally supposed to be me saying something like, "Oh, well, what else is there to say about this?" And there's only a summary list of accomplishments, and how when you're replicating this kind of thing, you need to remember what all these potential things are. If you're broadcasting, things are this, and if you're not broadcasting, things are this. So as you can see here, obviously for us, everything's aimed at broadcasting. So the letters have to be bigger. They have to be the contrasts have to be big. I mean, great. Greens and reds and blues and browns and all these kinds of colors need to show up. You need to have these great, as good cameras you can get, and you need to be able to suspend them above the game table properly or have articulated arms holding them in position, yada, yada, yada. The other thing is legal issues. Now, what do I mean by that? These hills are illegal. Illegal means they're not replicatable on another game table in another part of the world. Why? Because these are custom made. I bought them online, and every one is not made from a mold. I think, at least that's what I remember the person telling me. These are all custom made and custom painted and flocked. That's what these little hills are. They're little cliffy faces, right? They're out there just because it just looks like a planet, or it looks, like Dead Man. Well, except for the trees, it's Death Valley. But at any rate, it's supposed to be. And the hills are illegal because the only hills that should be allowed for consistency and replicatable ness is hills that all have the same shape. They have to be the same hexagon shape at the top. Remember, at the bottom, the contours that spread out from the hill, we don't care about. As long as they're a quarter inch, so that you've got a 1 inch tall hill. And that's why we use the foamies, because the foamies we just stack up quarter inch thick, actually 6 millimeter. But they have to be legal shapes, this is what we call legal hills. So you'll have a row of hexes. That's illegal. That is fine. You'll have a round hill. You'll have a oblong square hill, and then you'll have a little tiny rise of 3 hexes. Right? Those are all legal. And if you and you can't make, you know, a dog leg. You can, but all the other hills, all the other people in the world that are, you know, doing the same game table, they have to have the same shape, uh, because you can't just, you know, cut it at will, however you like it, and say, okay, that's the hill. No, if the scenario is being replicated in other parts of the world, other people broadcasting or whatever, they're just watching it online but playing it on their game table, then the hills have to be replicatable. They have to be the same, and they have to be relatively the same height. I don't care if you use 1 inch tall foam or not, or whatever, but the fact is, everything has to be replicatable. Uh, you got to be able to duplicate, right? And that's why the roads and the rivers look like they do right here, because they're made from foamies. You should be able to get foamies just about anywhere in the world right now, unless it's absolutely impossible, and then you wouldn't be into wargaming anyway. In your culture or in your very viability of hobbies, if the culture doesn't support hobby stores, or they simply don't afford it, then yes. And what I'm speaking about, of course, is third world, although I hate the label. But the fact of the matter is, it is my view, and here's a little bit of editorial, that spreading the greatness of these kinds of things might go a long way to stopping actual conflict. Maybe. Wishful thinking. But it is a fact that toys, games, and entertainment on that level, if it's possible, if it can be, you know, exported to other worlds, might be helpful in diffusing bad things. Period. We'll see. Keep trying, Terry. So there we are. They're not legal hills. We'll keep them for now because they look cool. But yeah. When I bought them, it was just on a whim because they look cool. You could replicate the look of these things by cutting other shapes to fit it, and then say that, yeah, as long as you can make this shape, it's legal. But it's not allowed because the top surface is not at anywhere close to it being enough hexes to make it matter. These are very small, cliffy type faced, you know. I don't even know what you would call these. Where in the world looks like this? Like I said, Death Valley, somewhere in the desert, but they have a green top. Okay, fine. But at any rate, some place that was cut quickly through flowing water or glaciers, that these things ended up looking the way they do. But they're not legal, so they're actually not allowed to be here. Because, like I said, in final statement, hills, rivers, roads, bridges, well, not so much bridges, but at least the shapes that are on the game table have to all be the same. Everybody has to use the same thing to make the same table. If you're not making your own table to follow along and play along, then you're just watching it online. That's fine. But if you're playing it, you gotta. There's a phrase there. If you're playing it, you just gotta do it. I don't know. If you're gonna do it, play it anyway. So there we are. We'll come back when this print is done, probably another 20, 30 minutes, and then I'll probably show you how it works. So.